Okay, go ahead.
It's nothing's coming up for me.
Do you have the mouse control?
No.
Maybe can we see your screen instead of our system?
Sure, we could do that.
It's the same Retalix, right?
Yeah, but our test
No, our
Yeah.
test data.
Or test it is no. Okay,
Let me
not a
see.
problem.
You guys
Let me
need
make the
this?
presenter screen.
Oh no.
That one, my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have data that he needs to walk
Yeah.
through our data.
Glenn said we need to use our data, so we probably better to use ours. Sorry, man.
That's okay. No problem.
Let's put me as a presenter then.
Okay. Okay. Let's use the presenter. Now give me the mouse and the keyboard once you...
Okay, you got it. Type something.
I don't see your screen.
You don't see my screen?
No. Did you show your screen?
Can you see it now?
No.
How about now?
There it is. Give me the mouse and the keyboard.
Got it?
Not let me... Since I have control.
Okay, you got
There
it.
we go. Okay, I want to look at one thing for the question number 4. When you're putting in the journal entries, and you guys asked for the section number.
The question is, why do we need to enter the section number if the section number is already...
You don't. You don't.
Okay, Janice, you want to take it?
So if we don't input
Yeah.
the section number, it would put into a financials, but not the financials that has the section number. These under,
Well,
if I don't put
say that
section,
again.
if I don't put section number 4, company 1, division 1, and the GL account number and the amount, if I don't put that section, the system will take it, but the financials that we work on, it wouldn't appear on that financial. It'll appear on a separate financial.
I think you have to
Yeah.
back up and explain the conversion and what consequence of that before you get to that question.
What's your enter key here? I'm hitting field X.
Right control.
Right.
Right control is the enter.
Robin, you feel qualified to explain what's happened and what you tried to do with Laurie?
That's a standard GL conversion.
Well,
I just entered it for you.
We need to bring Dave up to date before
Okay.
we ask him that question, I think.
why don't you bring me up to date then? Go ahead. I heard that.
Okay, I was hoping Robin could explain it, because, but let me give it a shot. My understanding is that the conversion program, when pulling the GL from H&S to Enterprise, is populating Enterprise with the appropriate or the corresponding section numbers. If we try to view the GL at that point in Enterprise, we can see all the data brought over, but that data has the section numbers associated with it. Consider that one data set for the sake of discussion. When Janice goes into, when Janice subsequently goes into Enterprise, and she does not enter the section number while inputting a journal entry, that journal entry record appears to be going into a second set of financial records.
Yes.
What
because,
we,
because
what,
it's going because the section number is part of the account number.
yes, we understand.
It
This-
sounds like what you have.
let me, if I could just have one more, half a minute more to explain. In
Okay.
In HNS right now, Janice is accustomed to not having to enter a section number whenever she posts any journal entries. And so she's working in a data set that requires no section numbers and displays no section numbers. What we tried to do was provide her with that same environment within Power Enterprise, but because the conversion program puts the data into a data set that has the section numbers, we asked Robin to modify the conversion to bring over the GL without the section numbers, thinking that that would be the solution. Robin tried that and something went wrong. Laurie or Robin, do you want to tell me what happened?
All right.
They were running report. They were trying to run balance sheet and income statements, and the reports came out blank.
So when we tried to do the conversion to bring it over to data set number 2, where number 2 has no section number requirements, we were not able to run reports. Is that what I'm hearing? And could
The
we
reports
see
were blank.
the general ledger?
The reports are blank, there's no data.
But you could see the general ledger.
You can
without-
see the general ledger, I
You
mean,
just couldn't run any of the GL reports.
right, it's blank, yeah.
So that the end goal here, before we go into solution, was to be able to work in Enterprise in data set number 2, which would not hopefully require any section numbers to be input with each transaction.
Right. You don't need section numbers.
Correct.
Like what you guys want. You don't want them. Yeah, I know what the problem is there. We could fix that problem pretty quickly if I'm right with my assumption that.
Okay, would you give us a brief, what you're gonna do so that Robin, who joined us just a little while ago, can at least understand what impact it might have on us?
Okay. In Power Enterprise, what sounds like is happening, I've run into this before, especially as soon as you told me the GL was blank, that's because that's a common symptom of this, is that you do not have a section number set up as blank. Follow me?
I think so.
So if
We have to set up a
So-
GL section number of a blank.
Yeah, if I put an 11 here, and
I typed
I'm
the
used to
send for you.
hitting and yeah, I'm used to hitting my
Enter key.
enter key, and if I just go, I just want to do an F4 here and see what you got. Yeah, see, you have no section numbers here; it's blank. So what I need to do, we'll just do that. Okay. All right. Now, you want to tell me what financial report you were running?
Number 9, go 9. Just the financial the
Okay.
financial statement option, number 15.
Okay, you'll 15.
And then
Okay.
you can print by division.
Division.
Uh-huh. Detail, that's fine.
Let me just, I got my little, and this is fine here.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's see. And which division?
The first one is fine. That's fine, June is fine.
Eh?
Okay.
All right. Let's go on to your spool file.
It was the first one, yeah.
First two.
Oh, the first
Is
two.
it the first one?
The first
Right,
two,
those
yeah.
two right there.
F1, F5.
Those two here?
Yeah.
But he's gonna run out of line. Should have been in data, because we can convert.
Is that better?
Just section blanks created as a
The
blank.
question is, when we did our last conversion, the conversion program put the section numbers in. Does that alter what we're trying to accomplish here? Do we need to do a conversion without the sections?
No, you don't. All that you need here is just this blank,
Okay, so,
blank section.
to finalize the test, then if Janice inputs a journal entry today without entering the section number, it should show up on this report?
Yes,
Okay. Janice just, I
Yes,
guess
it
that's your
should.
homework assignment.
Okay.
If you want to break after you finish and then we continue, maybe you can come back and let us know if that's working
Yeah, when
before Dave.
when you're at Robin's
When we're
turn.
on the other section.
Yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah,
on,
yeah,
let
yeah,
us know
yeah,
yes or no.
yeah.
Thank you.
okay,
So what's next?
so that should, okay,
Wait, there was
that's,
That was number 4.
that was number 4.
Okay, that was number 4. Now, number 1, I think we've talked about this before. That's where you guys want to change the vendor to pay.
Before you continue,
that
Dave,
looks not-
Janice and Mike were testing that again yesterday. I want to get an update from them on the status of their test.
Okay, we're
Okay.
now able to change the vendor to pay.
You are able to
Yes, we
reconcile
are,
freight,
so we
you
can
are able
reconcile
to change the
freight now,
vendor,
yes.
okay.
The only other thing is that we can't make any changes in the remit to.
No, that's number. That's
Or is that
another.
another
That's a
question?
different number.
Yeah, is number 1 resolved?
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Dave, cross number 1 off.
That's good?
Yeah.
That's
number
good.
one is
We just knocked
Number
it
2.
out.
Okay, we got 2 left. Go ahead. Whichever order you guys want to tackle.
No, it's a
Okay.
Dave number 2. What is number 2? Is that the ARAP?
Yeah, I was,
Yeah.
what are you guys trying to do on this one, I guess? Because I was a
You
little bit
explain.
confused
That's a
on what
remit to pay.
exactly.
The what?
Remit to pay.
I kind
Okay.
of think I know, but
Okay, Mike will explain.
There are times when we have to cut a check, and sometimes the remittance address will change, attention to will change, and right now I can't make any changes to the payee or the remit to address.
So he can go.
this is for a customer or a vendor, or both?
up
both.
it, Yeah.
The fields are locked, whereas we're a customer right now in H&S, those fields are not locked.
So can he go to that screen?
Yeah. Can you
That's on the
take-
remit to address.
Yeah. If
Yes,
you go to
it's
that
right
screen.
F-
You cannot change, yeah, you
F3L.
cannot change that field.
Can you say that again?
You cannot change the remit to field when you're trying to cut a check like that.
Well, that's what we're inquiring. I'm sorry, Dave. We're inquiring about that because currently in H&S we can now,
Yes,
but in the
Yeah.
new, the Power Enterprise we cannot.
yeah, what little I know about H&S, it is, that's really old. Yes, that was doable there, but at 4.1, you cannot do that. What you'd have to do is you'd have to go back into the customer or vendor master file, change it there.
Oh,
And
that's,
then after the checks were run, you'd have to go back and change it back.
oh, that's gonna be a problem.
The check run will
Or-
take the actual from the vendor master or the
Wait.
customer master.
You said or.
Or what you could do, and I don't really recommend this, is that if you know which customers are and they're a limited number, you could set up another vendor with the remit to address. Keep it that way. So, but that's a very cumbersome way of doing it.
So say he changed it in the vendor master, would it take it like he would have to input that entry?
I would have to input that, then go back to the vendor master and change it back.
You just have to change it
Yeah,
before you
check
cut the
run.
actual check, because the check will grab from the vendor master.
No, once I input it, that information's in, so I gotta change the vendor master,
No, the
then
check,
input it.
the check will take the vendor master.
Wait, what, wait, will you let Dave explain, please? Ask him the question. Mike.
Yeah. Go ahead, ask the question.
Okay, so, well, so before I input an invoice, I would have to go to the vendor master, change whatever needs to be changed, then input the invoice, then go back to the vendor master and change it back.
I would think you only have to do it when you cut the check,
Cut it. Have to cut it. Then you go back and change it.
because that's what you do. That's what you're talking about. Is
No, because on the HNS side, if we input it with the current information on the file yard, okay, it's already inputted. Now, when I'm trying to cut the check, and I get a notification that there is an address change, what has already been inputted will show the previous.
That has changed in enterprise.
It has changed in enterprise.
It has changed in enterprise.
Look, Dave, let me ask the question the way I think Mike is intending, and then you can give us a yea or nay. He sets up a payment, and a week later, as he's about to cut the check, he learns that the check has to be cut to someone else. So the question is, at that point, since he's already set up the AP, can he go to the vendor file, change the remit to, and after doing that, proceed to cut the check and without having to re-enter the AP data?
He should be able to check or just change the remit to address and then just go in and cut the check.
Okay, so that does not require that he resubmit his AP data.
No.
So I
Not have to.
So I envision this as similar to a customer. If we have a customer with a street address of whatever, a address, and prior to our making the delivery, but after we've entered the order, if we go to the customer master and change the ship to address, when we print the invoice would bear the correct or the updated invoice address, right? We don't have to resubmit the order. Is that correct?
You should not have to resubmit it.
We don't,
I'll double check that for you, but you should not have to re-put it in. Once it's in, it's in.
Wait, I take that back. I meant
You have to
to
refresh.
refer to the billing address. If we
Right.
if the billing address is changed after the input, before the invoicing, the invoice will reflect the updated billing address, correct?
It should be the correct address when you put it in. But if you go and pay a check, say a week later, if you're going to cut the invoice, or if you're going to cut a check for the invoice, you can change the remit to address, and that should be correct on the check.
Okay, and assuming that he changes it before he cuts the check, he could leave that address as is until the next time something comes up, or he could return it to what it used to be after
Yeah,
he's cut the check.
Yeah, I would, those things don't change that often. I would, what I would do is I would just change the remit to address right before you cut the check and leave it. I mean, odds are, that address isn't going to change for a long time to come.
Okay, let me take this to another level then. I think Mike was describing one portion of what one reason he changes the address. There's another one that's more prolific. We sometimes make errors or get into situations where we have to remit a payment to a customer. And say we've got 1,000 customers, and from time to time we have to cut them a check. It may be because they returned the product, it may be because there was a promotion. There may be a litany of reasons why we would cut checks to customers. Mike, from an AP standpoint, liked having the idea of using one vendor number and using that one vendor number to cut check to 50 different customers over a period of time for 50 different reasons. We were wondering if you could give us some workarounds so that we can avoid having to set up a vendor for every single customer we might ever cut a check to, if we don't really plan to be cutting checks to that customer again and again and again. So these are one-off situations that occur frequently. Do you have any advice?
That you cannot do. I mean, you can't. I mean, you're asking to put in something one time and then be able to put in 50 different addresses and have 50 different checks.
Right, and we're looking at it somewhat in this light of item number 99999, where we use that same item number over and over, but we override the description to describe whatever product we're using it for at the time. Are you familiar with the 99999 number?
Yes, yes.
So, similar context. We don't want to take for 10 minutes to set up an item file, an item record for one-time use.
Mhm.
Similarly, Mike is looking for an alternative so he doesn't have to set up customer records for one-time use.
There's no way to do that I know of. Let me, if I may, just let me. I don't. Yeah, I don't know of any way to do that.
Well, I'm surprised.
No, it makes sense to me.
No,
Yeah.
they also took away the
So
So you're
miscellaneous.
gonna have, I mean,
That's
you're gonna
what I
have
would
to
want.
put them in one at a time. I mean, there's no way of doing that I know of. I
Well-
can't see how you would do that.
So,
You're still gonna put them in one at a time.
You'd have to put in one, change the address, cut the check, go back, change the address to the next person, cut the check, go back to the next person, go cut the check.
okay,
That's the current system.
so that's their solution at this point. So we have to retire with that and decide if that's acceptable, what we can do about it. For all I care, you can use your personal check and cut all that check and reimburse yourself, if you think that's that big of a
But it
deal.
affects purchasing too, with the one-time buys. That would require them to set up a new vendor every time we have one of those one-time buys. Brian's gonna have a cow.
No, I don't agree. Anyway, any other questions about this particular? We have questions with Dave, we can discuss among ourselves.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Okay, go with one
Hey.
option.
Good.
Number 3?
Mhm.
The third one?
What was the third one?
Well,
You want
that
to?
one we're asking if one check for all divisions at the same time.
Right.
Oh, if you check.
The
It's
different
at
checks,
it's
yeah.
at the company level. You know, right now it's at the company level, right, to cut a check. But in this new version, it's at the division level.
Yes. You can only do it at the division level. You can only cut checks at the division level here. You
Dave,
cannot cut them at the company level.
can you give us an idea why that was changed?
No, I have no idea, actually, to be honest with you. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know why they changed that. I've ran into this before. You could only cut the checks at the division level now. I do understand that H&S, you guys could do it at the company level, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's now changed. You can only do that at the division level.
And there's no workaround on that.
No, I mean, I could ask, but I could 99% say that you cannot do that. There's no way that I know of to do that.
Maybe we should ask. Can we ask why?
So, Janice, when you say company level, are we saying, for example, that if we have a Simplot invoice received into Division 1 and a Simplot invoice received into Division 2, we currently are able to combine those payables and cut a single check to the manufacturer?
Yes.
And is
Does it
Dave
then
saying that
update-
currently we are forced to cut separate
Two
checks by
check.
division? Each division is treated as a separate cost center,
Yes.
having a different account number, checking account and all that? That's essentially how the enterprise is treating the.
Yeah, it's treating it like we have separate account numbers, separate
Right.
bank account numbers.
And if you.
Yes, that's
you-
how it's treated, like you have separate bank account numbers. Exactly
And-
right.
And if in fact we're using a single checking account, what does that do? What impact does it have on our, other than the fact that we have to cut checks separately, what else does it do beyond that? What other inconveniences or repercussions are there?
Besides that, you know, there's a chance we can call, you know, like J.R. Simplet caught 2 checks
Cut what?
you know,
We're gonna
One
have to
out of
cut two
Hilo,
checks,
one
but-
out of Hilo, one out of Oahu.
Yeah, I understand that. What, beyond that, what other
Okay, we
problems
might,
does
we
it
might have one
cause us?
invoice in, Division One. We have a large credit in Division Two, but we don't have an invoice to pay off Division Two. I can't take the discount.
Okay, we can find
I
what
can't
runs
take- I
without,
can't
what,
take the
what other,
credit.
what other limitations?
I have to do 3 check runs.
3 check runs?
Division One, Division Two, and Division Four.
What is Division 4?
IL.
Do you normally combine Division 4 payments with AP with Division 1 and 2 AP?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you give me an example?
Horizon. There's Horizon pallet charges that are coded in Division One, but not Division Four.
Is there a reason why it needs to be in Division 1?
Yeah, because it's not captured in the Division Four data.
Is that our decision, or is that a limitation on what we're doing? Is that something that can be changed?
It wouldn't make the costing would be off then. Your gross margin will be affected.
I think I know a way around that.
Okay.
If you have an invoice, let me get this correct in my head. If you have an invoice that you put into Division 4, but you want to pay down at Division 1, correct?
Okay.
Am I right so far?
Yeah, okay. Uh-huh.
But what you could do is you could, I mean, this requires a little bit more work, but you could put the entry in Division 4 and point it to a clearing account, and then put the entry, and then put another entry in Division 1 and wipe out that account. If,
I see
Are
what
you
you're
with
saying.
me?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Using intercompany accounts.
yes, yes. You could do that. That would solve that problem. It's a little bit more work, but it solves your issue.
Yeah.
Probably a lot cleaner than what you're doing now anyway.
Okay.
Would that work for you there?
Yeah, it'll be more work. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's just definitely gonna be a little bit more work.
How often does that happen? How many transactions per month?
Hundreds.
That's happening hundreds of times.
We have-
100 times a month?
We have 100 Horizon invoices.
Do you have to move it transaction by transaction, or you can move it in lump sum?
Well, you know what? If it's happening that often, can you explain to me exactly what you're doing? Because this, I mean, that should only be once in a while occurrence. If you're doing something that often, you need to understand a little bit better what you're doing. Can you tell me exactly what's happening there?
Wait, hundreds of times? No, it's
We one spreadsheet has 25, 30 Horizon invoices. We weren't in a week. That's $100,000.
no. He's thinking that we do it the reversal way. The way that like on Oahu, Horizon has invoices, but it's minimal to the ones that go into Division 4.
Okay.
So he's saying to move the minimal ones that we input in Oahu and put it in Division 4 and intercompany those.
So how many are there of those?
Okay. Then we're talking maybe a dozen.
A dozen.
And do they have to be brought in individually, or can they be brought in mass?
I think
In
we still
lump
need
sum.
the invoice numbers, yeah.
You
Dave, if we've got 12 transactions per month on average, do they
What kind of
require
transaction?
12 intercompany,
yeah.
Yes.
12 intercompany transactions?
Well, you could use one account. You could use one account, but if you're going to put 12 different transactions, all of them would have to go to the intercompany. Yes.
All individually, I'm asking, as opposed to one?
Yes. Well, you can lump them all you can lump them all together as one. You mean?
Yeah, I'm asking if you can group them and bring them over at one transaction monthly, as opposed to 12 separate transactions monthly.
I can't select them then.
Well, it all depends on how you originally put them in. If you put them in all as one, all you would need to do is put one in on the other side. If you put them all individually as 12, then you're going to have to do all 12 of them
Well, you
on
do
the
it
other
12
side,
a
or
month.
just do
There's no way you're
one
doing all
on the other
12.
side, and you can do a lump sum.
And how often are these input into Division One? Daily, individually, daily, 12 times a month?
No, it's spread out.
So can they be grouped or not?
I wouldn't group
I
them.
wouldn't group them because. I'm
That's
kinda
not a good
concerned about
accounting
because
practice.
If we're cutting a check and we're selecting, but we just have to select by invoice number. I would want the trail.
So if you put them in individually, would you do the intercompany at the same time as you input them?
No, that, the way Dave is explaining it, you input it in one division in an intercompany account, and then you would have to do a manual journal entry to,
Wash.
to wash it out to
Oh, okay.
the clearing account, as he puts it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how much effort does that require per transaction?
You know, it's just like Dave is saying, that it's more, but
I mean, I
It's
don't
just
have
one
s-
journal entry.
I don't
Yeah.
have scope, so in terms
Yeah.
of time, how much per one transaction?
1 minute per transaction?
Is it 10 minutes? Is it
no,
1
it
minute?
just, it's
Is
not
it-
gonna take that much more time.
Okay, less than 1 minute per transaction, so 12 minutes.
I just want to get a scale so we
Yeah.
understand. Is that the only one, Janice?
Well, the other one is how he was explaining is the credits.
No, wait. You were talking about Division 1 and 4. What about between Division 1 and 2?
Exactly, Division 1 and 2.
Are you going to have to do it that way too, or are you okay with?
Well,
cutting-
division, well, I'm gonna have to do a clearing account, but it's where it gets sticky is the inventory reconciliation that we do with Division 1 and 2.
Will the inventory reconciliation be impacted? I thought you were just moving the payables amount through a.
No, we would just have, no, you can't, well, that you cannot do, you gotta cut two separate checks. Right, Dave? You can't do a clearing account. The inventories in Oahu and the inventories in Hilo.
I thought we just
What
moved the AP
what's the
after you do
transaction?
it.
What is that?
What is the transaction that you're trying to do?
Well,
Here,
we have,
inventory.
we have we operate on two islands, Oahu and Hilo, and we could do a purchase order in Oahu and a purchase order in Hilo of inventory. So
From the
that-
same vendor.
from the same vendor. We would have to reconcile the inventory on Oahu and then also reconcile the inventory in Hilo. But when it comes to paying that one vendor, we would have to cut two checks, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
That's if you didn't do your intercompany thing.
No, you can't,
No, you
no,
can't
no,
do
there's
it
not,
with
that,
inventory.
you can't do that with inventory.
Is that correct, Dave?
Yeah, you have to cut a separate check. to
No, the
vendor.
question is, can you do that?
No,
Can I,
no, he cannot, you can't even do intercompany,
for inventory
that's a
reconciliation?
separate, that's a separate transaction. What we were talking about Division 1, Division 4, that's totally separate then.
Well, I don't know that he knows the difference, so.
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know that Dave knows the difference.
Well,
Dave,
but-
the question on the table is, given the example that Janice just provided, where each division is receiving products separately from the same vendor, and each division gets a separate invoice from the same vendor, is there a way to cut a single check to the vendor?
Not if they're in different divisions.
Still kind of check by division.
So
Okay.
you can't use that intercompany on in that situation?
Boy, can you, okay, I understand the answer. That takes me back to the original solution then. When we're talking about Division 1 and Division 4, how come that one was okay?
because we're gonna use
Well, because
we're gonna use an intercompany account for those items we put in Division 1 currently, we're gonna put them in Division 4 in the intercompany account.
So why can't we do that between Division 1 and Division 2?
Because
Well,
you're
you're
talking,
dealing with inventory.
you're dealing with that's exactly, you're dealing with inventory.
Oh, the other one you're,
It's like an expense.
okay, the other one you're couching how you input the data. You're doing it, you're inputting a Division 4 with intercompany.
Yes.
This one, okay, I got
But free, but
There's a
inventory
difference.
cannot.
All right.
Is there anything else?
I don't know if I wanna hear anymore.
Well,
Okay, come on.
let's have it.
Serious, are there any other
Is there
questions?
anything, is
Oh.
there anything?
Wait, hang on. No, that was my question.
So, these two things aside, AP is done, they're ready. They understand what needs to be done, short of any,
No, there's just, we're gonna have to just we're just gonna have to do workarounds on how we currently process and what we have to process when we go on live. Okay.
Dave, do you have any customers that, that you know of that might have requested a mod for either of these two areas that we discussed?
I'd have to check on that. I don't know. I'd have to check.
Okay.
I could easily find that one out. That's an easy question. I'll just talk with Billy. He's the head of development.
The two questions you're talking about
Would
is
Billy
the,
be aware
multiple
if
checks and
a
multiple
mod
vendor
was done to a
payments.
customer's,
Company level.
to a customer and resides in their library versus in the Retalix base library?
Yeah, Billy would know. He should. He should. He's development. He should know the answer to that.
Okay.
Do you know Billy?
Well, we only got introduced to Billy a short while ago. We really, at least I don't really know what his background is prior to joining the, prior to our being aligned with him. So when you say he's in development, we don't know what that means or how long that's been.
He said, well, what that means is he's in the programming group, I guess you could say. You know, he's in the group that does all the programming. So he would know if any other customers of ours have that request.
How long has he been in that programming group?
Billy has been with the company for a little bit over a year now, I believe, maybe 2.